Howdy Goons, we are absolutely spoiled these days. We have an entire world of games, every single one from our past is in our hands. I have every single game I've ever played and at least 1,000 more that I haven't even touched, hiding in this one little thing. Then we have new games coming out daily on storefronts like Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Switch 2, and more. We have more games than ever before, but one thing we never got more of was time. When I was a kid, it used to be that we had one home console and one portable console, and that was it. I now have at least 20 systems, some that didn't even release in my country. Back then it used to be that you'd only be able to get a game a month, unless you were the spoiled cousin who got more games than everyone else, more than you would ever play. We all had this spoiled cousin. Mine was Amber. She had all the latest systems, games, and often before I was even aware of their existence. If you didn't have this cousin, it's probably because you were this cousin. Well, Amber wasn't the nicest cousin. She didn't want me touching her games and consoles, even if I was playing them with her. She would say stuff like, "I've seen how you treat your stuff, no way are you borrowing it." I had a neighbor girl that was like this too, and little did they know, my systems looked like they did because I actually played mine. Maybe they did know, maybe they didn't like the idea that I actually played and beat my games. I didn't get much. Once a month, and even when my family was doing well because my mom was recently married, or remarried, or remarried, I'd still only get a new game when I finished my current one or monthly, and systems were still at Christmas a year or two after release kind of thing. You know, the normal thing. I think most Americans had a similar buying schedule for games. That's fine, because as an adult, I'm realizing that was the perfect rate to get new games. That was just right. Now as an adult, I can log into my computer and buy 10 games a month without blinking, sometimes all in one cart. Like as soon as it was announced that classic Final Fantasy games were being put on GOG, I got them all. It was only $30, it was a pretty good sale, and you know, it's GOG, I actually own the games. So it was hard to turn down. My New Year's resolution of buying no new games over sooner than it even began. I gotta get a little bit better at picking these things. Nowadays we have Steam with its never-ending sales, like a Kmart permanently stuck in going out of business limbo, and humble bundles where I could excuse my wanton purchasing as a charitable act. I'll even organize trips to go to video game stores outside of my town because our GameStop, Best Buy, and local store all closed down due to COVID. It's kind of sad. Everyone else's game stores grew from COVID because everyone was trapped indoors and playing more games, but mine are gone. Now if I want to buy games, I have to give money to an even more exploitative system of pawn shops. Dad can't pay for his cancer treatments. Time to sell off his Genesis and Game Gear collection. I've never felt good buying from a pawn shop. They're a band-aid for a wounded world. Dad shouldn't have to sell off his prized possessions just for the promise of another day, but that's capitalism, baby. The ultimate political system that we definitely couldn't do better than, nor improve. This is supposedly the best it gets. The envy of the world, yet Dad has to sell off everything he loves just to pay for treatments and still need a GoFundMe. The system is working as intended. For them, at least. So we go on a trip, usually an hour or two out of town, just to get to the nearest used game shop. I drop a hundo and come out with another 10 games, or even a system if I'm feeling particularly spicy. Then I come home, organize them onto my shelf by system because I'm far too lazy for alphabetical. What do I look like to you, a librarian? Then I get on my PC and play more of the same thing. I think time isn't the issue. I don't think convenience, because even with days of free time, you'll still see me play the latest and greatest, or something older that I played 3 times before. Companies think because of ROMs and emulation that what we care about more than anything else is having access to everything. It can't be that we prefer older systems because the ads we're forced to see on the home menus of our modern systems are suffocating. The day one patches, updates, downloads, microtransactions, the game industry bullshit. Can't be any of that. That's not why we play our old games, because they don't annoy us. It's just that we want to have access to them. Sure, maybe that's true to some regard, but I think it's more of the former than the latter. I don't really think that's it either, though. I don't have a Switch Online subscription. If it's truly such a value, wouldn't I for sure have one? Them having all the games I want hasn't made me want to join the service because I still have to deal with all the annoyances I've listed just to get to them. Maybe not so much the microtransactions, but everything else is still there and still in the way. I've talked about the power of instant action, and that's true with this service when I'm home. That's not the access that I want. Convenience has only led to me finishing even less games. I have more time than I did as a child, or at least the same amount of time. School was still a full-time job. It just started earlier in the day. But it's not like I have kids to take care of when I get home, so I have the same amount of time I did as a kid at least. Yet, the backlog grows. Convenience has certainly done its damage. Choice paralysis is the new king in the modern era. But I don't think it's just time and convenience. Think about it. When you have more free time, do you always play something new, or do you go back and play one of your favorites? It's probably a 50-50 split on this, but I think it's that we lost something we all value greatly. control. We've lost control of our experience. It used to be that I could take my Game Boy with whatever flavor of the month I still had lodged inside and go play it on the playground to satisfy my mother's daily solar intake that she required of me. Then I'd go home and play more video games on my GameCube. My library was always full of games I beat except whatever was newest. So when time came that I discovered Babbage's, EV Games, or GameStop, I traded all my old stuff in for a shiny new DS. The value of the experience was always the newest thing that I got, the one new game that I chose. Dumb decision, honestly, but it was my decision. Now I feel like I have less control than ever before. I can't remember the last time I bought a game because I actually wanted it. Probably was the last Dynasty Warriors, but I didn't even finish that one. What I play and what I buy is dictated by my environment. It's not that I don't have time anymore, it's that I don't have me time anymore. Time for just myself anymore. Convenience time, all of that is a factor, but the biggest factor is that I've lost control. I don't control what I play anymore. The ads, the news, the new hotness, the fear of missing out, being the only one in the conversation who hasn't played that new thing, even though no one at the table has finished it because they hop from title to title. The ad says 10-time award nominee. The news says it's like the game you love and this other game you love fucked raw in the parking lot and had this game as a baby. The new hotness in general. Being the one person who doesn't know what anyone else is talking about. Those drive me from game to game, and I can't take back the wheel because I'm 34 and don't have a license. But I can't think of anything more terrifying than getting behind the wheel now. If an experience sucks now, I can say, that writer didn't know what they were talking about. My friends always pick the worst games. Things like that. When someone else is driving, I can blame them for my bad experience. When I pick games I played a billion times that I know I like, that's like letting an AI drive the car. I don't have to think about it. If it sucked, then little me had bad taste. I'm not terrified of driving or being in control of my experience. I'm tired of having to be responsible for myself. I'm scared of choosing wrong and wasting time. But me wasting my own time, is that any worse than letting strangers like recommendation feeds, algorithms, the news, and the ads waste my time? Probably not. I should be more in control over my experience. There was a time when this wasn't scary, when a game being a bomb didn't ruin my day or week, when I was fearless and thankful, when I was a kid. But now I've been burdened with consciousness, self-awareness. I'll probably never drive for real. I like playing Game Boy in the passenger seat too much for that, but I think it's time for me to make more of my own decisions and occasionally be okay with letting myself down. I think it's pretty easy to be stuck doing the same old. You get into that routine, you value your free time, and you don't risk anything. I think a good portion of us do this. But I think it's a big combination of all of these issues. It's not just one thing. It's never just one thing. We say we want more time, but when we have it, we play the same old stuff. We say we lost control over our lives, that we're guided by algorithms and responsibilities in maintaining our social lives. We say it's because of convenience, that we all have too much, and it's hard to choose. I think the truth of it is that we become what we all hate. We've allowed ourselves to become the spoiled cousin. So what do we do about that? Well, we play what we can and maybe learn moderation. I know, gross, yuck, icky. Just because we have the money doesn't mean we should buy it. We also need to accept that not everything is worth playing. What did our cousins do? They stopped playing eventually. I think the solution is to try to go back to how things used to be, pretend to be a kid again, allow ourselves to make bad choices, ask ourselves whether we're playing it because we want to or because of the other number of reasons that we replay old stuff. We buy less and we wait until we finish something before we get on to our next game. I've stopped buying new games unless I think I can beat it the week I bought it. Final Fantasy excluded, of course. That's special. I love Final Fantasy. It gets a free pass. We all have our favorites. I always set aside time in my day that is just for me to play games, and I don't go to bed until I've done it, even if I suffer for it, because I'm enriching my soul, and that's an important aspect. Food nourishes the body. Work nourishes, maybe your work ethic or muscles or whatever crap they tell you. Treating your childish inner self is taking care of your soul, and that's not something that you should neglect. So I treat it just as seriously as I treat eating, drinking, working. But I need to buy less, play more, and play stuff that I haven't yet. Your child self probably didn't want to play Chrono Trigger a billion times to get every ending. It's a long game. You beat it, and you played the next new game. And I've been doing this, and I've definitely been beating a lot more games. We need to restrict our options too. Choose some games and install them in advance. Don't add anything new until you finish them. We don't need more options, we need less or at least shorter options. But I don't think there is one solution that will fix it for everyone. I definitely feel like I've become the spoiled cousin, and I think I need to fix that first before I can fix everything else. But if you're ready for tips on backlog completion, then you should check out the video on the end card. I have a lot more tips I'll be turning into a video soon. I just wanted to explore why we have this problem in the first place. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tip your overlord. I accept likes, subscribes, and an ever-increasing catalog backlog of games that I will never consume but will one day consume me as the bookshelf falls over and I'm buried in video games. Also members like AstroPixie YT, Linky, Dragon Fanatic, and Willie Pete. I'll see you all later.